So this is going to be a real quick video. I'm already filmed it, but every time I film these things, I feel like I said something or didn't say something. Probably going to do that again. So, compressor efficiency. How about I put it this way? Everything that's not mathematically very tricky is wrong. Including myself, what I've been saying. Oddly enough, the numbers still come out close enough to work, probably because we're altering the intercooler's efficiency and stuff like that to find stuff that seems realistic. Let's just talk about compressor efficiency on a map. The issue with it is that it takes into account a horsepower number that's needed to drive the compressor wheel at that flow rate. So the efficiency is two things on a map. It is one, a change in air temperature, and two, a change over isentropic, which is ideal, 100%. The amount of horsepower it would take to rotate the compressor at that flow rate and pressure ratio. So I'll put some screenshots in here just to kind of go over this, and I'm not going to remember what this screenshot said. I'll have to maybe voice over during them, but we'll try it. 100% efficient compressor has a ideal change in temperature when you compress the air, and it has an ideal amount of horsepower it takes to drive it. So this example, they're using like a GT30 or 37 or something, but at its flow rate at 100% efficiency, the air temperature change with exhale coming in is only say 200 degrees or 170 degrees or 70 degrees. Let's just go with 100. It's a 100-degree change in air temperature if it's 100% efficient, and it only takes 50 horsepower to turn it at 50 pounds a minute. Now, in the real world, it's actually 71% efficient or something like that. I can't remember what it said. So the air temperature, instead of being 200 degrees coming out, it's now 260 degrees coming out. Like, it's gone up from ideal because it's not 100%. And instead of taking 50 horsepower to turn it, it takes 71 horsepower to turn it. So both those numbers go up together. So if you pull the change in air temperature out of the equation, you can't complete the equation. Or if you pulled the horsepower part out of the equation, you again can't complete the equation to find the compressor's efficiency. So if you're trying to figure out what the flow rate of the turbo is, the best way to do it is you have to measure the air coming out of the intercooler going into the engine. You really don't need temperature coming out of the turbo unless you want to do the compressor efficiency equation completely. If you just want to know the efficiency differential between the air coming in and then the air going into, or you do need to know compressor out temperature. If you want to know just the efficiency of the compressor as far as the efficiency of it keeping the air as cool as possible, the horsepower it takes to turn it, then you do need to have temperature air coming in, and you need the temperature of the air coming out of turbo. So let's use this as an example. Because automotive industry doesn't really have compressors that have a map that is 80% efficient. But that's because it's taking into account the horsepower to drive it part as well as the change in air temp. Because when I was driving and took that video the other day, we had about 120 degree air coming in and 450 degrees going out. Now, in a perfect world, we would have 372 degrees coming out. We can insert a screenshot of isotropic compression from 1 bar to 3.6 bar, and the change in temperature, if it's 120 degrees, it goes 372 degrees. So if we had a compressor that's 100% efficient, we would have 372 degrees coming out of the turbocharger with 120 going in. Real world, we have about 450 degrees. It's just a gauge that goes in 50 degree increments. It's not digital, so it looked like 450. If we look at the change from 372 to 450, that is a change of 20%. So we've lost 20% of the efficiency of the turbo. So instead of it being 100%, it's 80. So solely based on the temperature of the air change, which is what we're looking at for mass flow, it's 80% efficient on the compression of the air. Not the horsepower required by the turbine, the compressor wheel. And we take that, shove it through the intercooler. The intercooler takes it down to 150 degrees. So at this point, when you're trying to do mass flow, you don't even need the temperature of the air coming out of the turbocharger. It's more so trying to figure out if you're out of turbo, you're about to blow up the turbo, etc., etc. It's 150. It's still at 3.6 bar because we're measuring pressure on the outside of the engine. Technically, the pre-intercooler side is going to be above 3.6 bar. I don't got a gauge over there. There's a pressure drop across the intercooler. There's a pressure drop through the piping. The pressure drop everywhere. So 3.6 is the pressure ratio. We can just see that as a density ratio, pressure ratio, however you want to see it. You take the engine CFM, in this case it's 189 CFM times 3.6. That gives you the CFM, cubic feet total. And now you know the weight of the cubic feet because it's a spatial measurement, and you take that times whatever the air weighs at 150 degrees. So in this case it's 0.065 pounds per cubic foot at 150 degrees. Then that gave us 44 pounds a minute. Seems 100% realistic for what the EGTs were, for the amount of fuel I was giving it. Wasn't trying to do anything crazy, just trying to hold 60 miles an hour up the hill with about 8,500 pounds, trailer and barn included, 8,500. Based on EGTs to predict, AFR, based on fuel quantity and history, all seems correct. Turbo wasn't really working super hard. It was getting to, it's on about to hit 2/3 of what it can do, 50 pounds, really about the most. We're definitely gonna be over 1,300 degrees at 50 pounds, especially on a hot day like that. Normally 53 pounds of boost gets me about 1356, 1336 degrees in the EGTs. We'd probably be in the 1400s, based on how hot it was that day. Intercoolers can only do so much. So hopefully this clears some stuff up. We're going to continue with this, but this is a good start to kind of really dial down what's going on. We will do the equation. We'll record doing the equation for compressor efficiency, and we'll do the equation for getting the intercooler's efficiency. But for now, just based off of that video, which is cool, I was thinking about it, you really don't need a lot of the stuff in between. That a lot of the math that we did, a lot of the math that other people have done, realistically, you just need to know the temperature going in the engine and the pressure of the air when it's going in the engine size, engine volumetric efficiency. Usually gotta guess this one. And engine RPM. So with those things and air temperature, it's gonna match up with what we see on the dyno. As far as finding out if the turbo's about to go yeehaw, compressor outlet temperature is kind of helpful, because when that temperature starts to just really go up, we can tell that we're either in a stall zone or we're getting close to stall with the compressor. And when you hit compressor stall, load comes off the compressor and they just go through the roof. Or that you just need to get a compressor. If you can't make the intercooler bigger, then you're going to have to make the compressor wheel larger or more efficient to get the air coming out of it cooler. And remember, there's no perfect. So if it was a 100% perfect compressor wheel, we would still have 372 degrees coming out of it, as an example, at 3.6 bar with 2,000 engine speed RPMs with a 5.9 liter engine. If the engine got bigger at the same RPMs, or it went to a higher engine speed, the air temperature is going to also go up because the flow rate is going to go up. So it's just stuff to think about. And the best way to handle compressor temps, if they're too hot, is more than likely, given you're not pulling air off the exhaust manifold, probably needs a bigger turbocharger for what you're trying to accomplish. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.